My name is Emma, I'm 22, and on my birthday, my own father sold my laptop to buy my sister a new phone, then demanded I pay her college tuition. Before I tell you how they reacted when they found what I left on the kitchen table, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. To understand why I did what I did, you need to understand my family. In our house, there were 2 daughters, but only one golden child. And it wasn't me. My younger sister, Olivia, could do no wrong. She was the sun, and I was the planet that was just expected to orbit her, quietly, without complaint. It wasn't one big thing, it was 1,000 little cuts over 22 years. For my 16th birthday, I got a stern lecture about the rising cost of car insurance. For hers, 6 months later, she got the keys to a brand new sedan parked in the driveway with a big red bow on it. When I worked 2 part-time jobs all through community college to save up $1,200 for a powerful laptop for my design classes, my parents said I was being fiscally responsible. When Olivia wanted the latest iPhone, they just bought it for her. I was the workhorse, she was the princess. My Aunt Rachel, my mom's younger sister, saw it all. On my 18th birthday, she slipped me a beautiful, leather-bound journal. "Your grandpa was an accountant," she whispered, giving me a hug. "He always said to keep your own ledger. No one can argue with the math, Emma." I didn't know then how literally that advice would save my life. I started writing things down. Not just feelings, but numbers. The $50 here and there I loaned my dad that never came back. The $200 I'd chip in for groceries that became a monthly expectation. It all went into the book. The day it all exploded was my 22nd birthday. I was in my final, brutal semester of college. My thesis was due in a month, and my entire life was on that laptop. I was at the library when my phone buzzed. It was a text from my dad. "Sold your laptop. Olivia needs a new phone. Be grateful we still feed you." I read it once. Then twice. It felt like a punch to the gut, stealing all the air from my lungs. My hands started to shake. Before I could even process the rage, a second text came through. "Also, you'll pay her tuition, $6,000 by Friday." Something inside me, something that had been bent and bruised for years, didn't just break. It turned to steel. I typed back 2 words. "No chance." His reply was instant. "Then get out. You're cut off." And just like that, it was over. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. For the first time, there was no emotional chaos inside me. There was only a cold, sharp clarity. It was the kind of clarity that comes when you've been pushed past your breaking point and realize there's nothing left to lose. I drove home. I walked past Olivia's room, she was giggling, unboxing her shiny new phone, completely oblivious. I went to my own room and pulled out a single duffel bag. I packed my essentials, toiletries, a few changes of clothes, my passport, and my backup hard drive. Then I went to my closet, reached into the back, and pulled out a thick, brown accordion folder. Inside was every receipt, every bank statement with highlighted transfers, every IOU I ever made them sign as a joke. Years of meticulous records, all thanks to Aunt Rachel's advice. My grandfather's ledger. I walked down to the kitchen and placed the folder squarely in the middle of the table. On the front, I had written in clean, black marker, "For Mom, Dad, and Olivia." Then I walked out the back door, closed it softly behind me, and never looked back. My first call was to Aunt Rachel. Her voice was a balm on a wound I didn't even know was still bleeding. "You come here. Right now," she said, no questions asked. When I got to her small, cozy apartment, she just held me for a long time. Then, sitting on her couch, with a cup of hot tea in my trembling hands, I pulled out my spare laptop. I opened a pre-written email, the one I had saved in my drafts for a day I hoped would never come. It was addressed to my grandmother, Eleanor. My dad's mother. The formidable, no-nonsense matriarch of our family. I attached a single, large PDF file, a scanned copy of every single page in that brown folder. My finger hovered over the send button. This was it. This was the point of no return. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and clicked. The quiet little swoosh sound of the email leaving my outbox felt like a cannon blast. The next morning, my aunt's phone rang. It was my mother, hysterical. I didn't need to hear the words to know what was happening. I could picture it perfectly. Olivia, probably coming down for breakfast, would have been the first to see the folder. She'd open it out of curiosity. She'd see the bank statements showing thousands of dollars transferred from my savings account, labeled Olivia's expenses. She'd see the receipts for her car repairs, her shopping sprees, all paid for from my paychecks. But the final blow, the secondary twist I had placed at the very back, was a document about her own trust fund. The one our grandfather had set up for both of us. It would show that after they had drained my college fund of $24,000, they had started chipping away at hers. The look of betrayal on her face must have been devastating. The realization that she wasn't just the golden child, she was a pawn, just like me, used to keep us from ever comparing notes. I could imagine my dad, his face turning from red to white as he realized this wasn't just an angry note. This was a prosecution. The hook from my story was his panicked calls. He was likely calling every relative, trying to spin the story, trying to paint me as the ungrateful, unstable daughter. But then, in the middle of their chaos, I did something they never expected. I went back. Aunt Rachel drove me. I walked right up to the front door and used my old key. I stepped inside. The three of them were in the living room, frozen in a tableau of panic and accusation. My old phone, which I'd left on the counter, was buzzing incessantly with calls from my dad's number. He was calling me from his own pocket. He saw me and his face contorted with a mix of fury and relief. "Emma! Thank God, you came to your senses. Now stop this nonsense." I held up a hand. "I forgot something," I said, my voice even. I walked past them, picked up my phone from the counter, and turned it off. Then I looked my father dead in the eye. "The numbers don't lie, Dad." And right on cue, as if summoned by the words themselves, the doorbell rang. I was the one who opened it. Standing on the porch was my grandmother Eleanor, her face set like granite, and beside her, a man in a crisp suit holding a briefcase. The family lawyer. She gave me a single, respectful nod before her icy gaze fell upon her son. "Frank," she said, her voice cutting through the tension. "Emma was kind enough to provide me with a full accounting of your management of the family trusts. As the primary trustee, I am informing you that you are being removed, effective immediately. Mr. Davies here will handle the transition. We will be conducting a full audit, and any and all misappropriated funds will be returned to Emma and Olivia's accounts. Do you understand?" My dad just stared, his mouth opening and closing like a fish. My mom let out a sob. The power in the room had shifted so completely, it was almost silent. I hadn't needed to be rescued. I had simply brought in the law to witness the truth I had already laid bare. A day later, I met Olivia at a neutral coffee shop. She looked small and broken. "I'm so sorry, Emma," she whispered, twisting a napkin in her hands. I never knew. I looked at my sister, really looked at her, and for the first time, I didn't feel a sting of resentment. I just felt a quiet sadness for both of us. "It's not your fault," I said, and I meant it. "You were their trophy, and I was their bank. We were just different kinds of tools to them. But from now on," I said, meeting her gaze, "we tell each other the truth." It was the first shaky brick in a new foundation. 1 year later, on my 23rd birthday, my life looked nothing like I could have imagined. I had a good job at a marketing firm, not my dream job, but it was mine, and I earned it. My relationship with Olivia was a work in progress. We were in therapy together, learning how to be sisters without our parents' poison between us. It was hard, but it was real. My birthday party was a small affair in my own apartment. It was modest, but every single thing in it, I had paid for myself. At the end of the night, my grandmother handed me a thick envelope. Inside wasn't money, but a deed. A deed to a small cabin in the mountains that my grandfather had bought years ago, the one he'd always said he was saving for me. "This isn't a gift, Emma," she said, her voice softer than I'd ever heard it. "It's a tool. Go build whatever you want with it." Tonight, standing here, telling you this, I look back on that horrible birthday text. My father took my laptop, my savings, my sense of security. But he gave me something so much more valuable in return, my freedom. He thought he was cutting me off, but all he did was cut the last chain that held me to a life that was slowly killing me. My story isn't about what I lost. It's about what I was finally free to build. Thank you so much for listening to my story. It's been a long road, and sharing it helps. I have a question for you all. Have you ever had to set a hard boundary with your family to protect your own peace? Let me know your experience in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, please give it a like and subscribe for more. It truly means the world.